All right, guys, what's up? This is Matt from Force Fitness and Performance, bringing you part 3, the final part of our lecture on how to eat healthy on a budget. If you missed parts 1 and 2, you can check those out on Force Fitness's YouTube page. Roughly, we covered setting up context for how to understand nutrition and how it affects your body, as well as the number 1 and number 2 ways to save money while on a budget and trying to eat healthy. And now we're going to go into more tips and tricks on how to save money and kind of give you guys the whole kitchen sink on what we can do in order to make eating this way and living a healthy lifestyle more affordable. So, first thing, it's really important that you reinsert yourself into your food chain. And that is a quote by Matthew, did I really just quote myself, Myers? And yes, I think I did. So I don't know if that's kosher or not. But what I mean by this is it's so important to think about where your food comes from and understand the kind of steps it takes to get to you. The more you can reinsert yourself in your food chain and not just, I go to the grocery store and that's where I get my food, but understand where it starts and where it finishes. Not only are you going to get a higher nutrient density from those foods, but you're going to be more empowered to make good decisions with your food. So please reinsert yourself back into your food chain. All right. One of the first tips that we started using that's super helpful is keep a price journal. This can be digital or it can be just a notepad and a pen, but it's a great way to keep track of prices and sales and actually understand where you need to go to get the best deal. So we have 3 different major grocery stores we can go to in town. We have Kroger, Bloomington Foods, and Sahara Mart. And if you go to all those different places and check out what their standard prices are for foods and keep a little list of it, especially the foods that you buy, that you can buy in bulk or buy often, like canned tomatoes or coconut milk or extra virgin olive oil, etc. If you can kind of keep an eye on that, then you'll know also when a big sale comes along, are you actually getting a deal? Because there have been times where I'm at Blooming Foods and I see a sale, I'm like, that can of tomatoes is on sale for $2.85. And I buy a ton of them, and then I go to Kroger, and it was $2.50 standard. And I'm like, for the exact same thing. That might seem small, but in the long run, that can make a huge difference. So keep a price journal, and make sure you get a really good deal when you go shopping. More tips. So this is just going to be, we're going to be going crazy here. CSA. Community-supported agriculture. These are different communities you can get involved with, different farms you contact directly. If you're at Force, again, we have the Meet CSA through We Farms, and they'll do a drop-off. And basically how it works is you're going to buy a share of what that farmer has to offer for that season, okay? And there will be different options available. I know that for the Meat CSA, we have like a total beef, a value beef, and a total pork and a value pork package. And they'll give you a different price point per pound and different options. So some of them are just going to have ground meat, while others are going to have more of the prime cuts. But you can decide what is within your budget, and it's, again, a great deal. You can get grass-fed beef for about $4.50 a pound, as opposed to $6 or $7 for at most major chains. Okay, you can also do this for fruits and vegetables. You can contact farmers, and what they will do is usually have a drop-off point, and once a week you'll go and you'll pick up just a basket of fruits and vegetables, what they were able to harvest, and it's going to be different every week. So especially if you're trying to expand your horizons or try different foods, this can be a great way to go. And it is seasonal and local. You're hitting our number 1 and number 2 things to count for nutrient density. So it's a really good way to go. And you can find CSAs by looking at localharvest.org. They will help put you in contact with some of those people. You can organize a group buy. We had people in the gym just talking about this the other day. Someone was going to buy half a cow, and another person was like, do you mind if I get a quarter of that? And they organized it, and they're going to go out and get that food and have it stocked up. Group buys, use the community that's already built up around you at the gym. You know, people in the gym care about their food and their nutrition. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here, okay? And that you also know that they have a similar understanding to what nutrient density and good food looks like. So talk to people in your sessions. Say, hey, I want to get a quarter of a cow. Do I have 3 other people that want to get in on this? And I assure you, you're going to find people that are interested. You're probably going to have too many people that are interested as soon as you offer. And you're going to have to split off and organize multiple buys. So organize a group buy, contact a farmer directly, and ask them what they want for the meat of the animal. A lot of times you pay processing fee, but it's still like $3 or $4 a pound, which is a great deal. And if you do this, though, it is a little bit of an investment up front. I highly, highly, highly recommend you get a deep freezer. And they don't have to be expensive. You can get good deals on them. But what a deep freezer is going to do is it's going to allow your meat to keep from between 6 and 12 months, whereas a standard freezer is only going to last a couple months. The reason for that is that in a standard freezer, and this is thanks to Mark Kincaid, so shout out to Mark for letting me in on this little fact, but a standard freezer actually rises above 32 degrees and thaws slightly on a cycle of about once per week. So that's why you don't get the frost developing on the outsides of all your foods. But it's also why, like, if you leave ice cream in your freezer too long, it will kind of get weird on top because it's been melting and then refreezing over and over again on the cycle. So a deep freezer will stay at that below 32 degrees all the time, and it keeps the meat much better. So if you are going to buy, going in a group buy, or with our next option, buy in bulk, make sure you have a way to store it. So buying in bulk can be a really great way to save money. I know that at Blooming Foods in town, if you buy a full case of something, they'll immediately give you 10% off. So again, with the canned foods that are good to have on your shelf, or maybe some curry sauce or different spices, you can buy those in bulk where they're on sale and save a ton of money. Buy direct. You can buy direct from farmers like we talked about before. You can also potentially talk to restaurant owners and find out where they buy their meat from and potentially get in on a sale that way. Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime and you already get free shipping from Amazon, there's a pretty large grocery section, and you can buy through them. We buy coconut milk through them often. Another thing you can do is subscribe and save. So if you order something from their grocery section and you say that you want maybe 12 cans of coconut milk every month, they will put it on an auto order where it will show up at your door every month, and they will also give you an extra discount above the already low price. So that can be a great way to go. Again, farmers markets. You can get great deals at farmers markets. You're cutting out the middleman. Farmers are excited that you're excited about their food. And, if you are a little bit of a bargainer, you can wait till the end of the day and maybe get a bargain on some fruits and vegetables. I tend to just go and ask them about the food, and I'm not too much of a bargainer but that would be another way you could save money. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of the local community. Maybe you have some friends who hunt. Venison is an awesome way to get nutrition. It's everything we want it to be. It's local, seasonal. It's been fed in its natural environment. It's going to have a great fatty acid profile. So maybe you have a friend who hunts. I already talked to a lady at the gym who said, they hunt for sport, and if I wanted to pay the processing fee for the meat, I could get the meat. That processing fee is going to work out to be like $2 or $2.50 a pound. So that's an awesome deal for healthy meat. You can start a Victory Garden. Okay? So Victory Garden, it is really easy to have fresh fruits and vegetables if it comes from your backyard and you pick it and eat it. And that is honestly the best way to maintain nutrient quality. Even if you just do a windowsill where you have herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Not only do they make our food wonderful, but they're super healthy for us. So you can just have a little windowsill that has some chives and some oregano, and you pick it off and just go with it. That's an awesome way to add high-quality and cheap food to your diet. Freeze it. You can buy stuff that's frozen. This is, again, going back to don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Maybe our local seasonal fruits and vegetables are our best case scenario. But if you see a deal on frozen peppers and onions and it's just that's in your budget right now, get them. Get them. Don't beat yourself up for not being able to be perfect all the time. That is just a trap we fall into in our modern lifestyle, and it's very destructive. So take advantage of that. And there will be some foods that keep better frozen and don't lose a lot of nutrient density frozen. So maybe like frozen scallops or frozen fish might be a better option for you than trying to find the fresh stuff, especially if you're landlocked like we are in Indiana. Next up, don't pay for preparation. So if you're trying to save money, don't pay for prep. And what we mainly mean by this is don't go out to eat as much. It's insane the amount of money people can spend in a month just going out to eat a couple times. I know for me personally, there have been times where Valerie and I have been out to eat with the family, and the family wants to go to Applebee's. So we kind of navigate the menu to try to figure out what we could eat, what wouldn't be too bad, but we still walk away spending $50 on a very subpar meal. Like it really wasn't even worth it. And what drives me crazy is I just think to myself, oh my gosh, that would have been worth like 8 bison steaks. I could have had 8 bison steaks at home for the price of that one meal out. So you definitely pay for the preparation, and you're going to lose quality there. So don't pay for prep. Do it yourself if you're really serious about saving money. And then finally, understand your situation. Understand where you're at and you know what you can do. The Living Lean Blueprint is that. It is a blueprint. It is a framework for how to make good decisions about your nutrition. But say that I am a poor college student on a budget, and I don't have access to fresh foods as much, and I'm also not really looking to lose a lot of weight. Well, that would be a situation where maybe I'm saying, hey, I think you should add some white rice into your diet. When we look at the caloric density of a food, which is not necessarily indicative of nutrient density, but if I look at caloric density, and maybe I spend, the majority of my money on meat and some fresh produce, but I still don't have enough food, I could fill that out with some rice. Per dollar, you're going to get between 100 and 400 calories per dollar with your fruits and vegetables, and white rice is going to be 1,400 calories per dollar. So it's very calorically dense. But again, you need to know your situation. Are you someone who can handle a lot of dense carbohydrate and starch right now, or is that going to mess up and detract from your goals? And then maybe it is going to detract from your goals, but you need that cheaper source of nutrition. Okay, we need to work with that then. And again, treat yourself with some grace. Don't feel like if you can't be perfect all the time, that it's the end of the world. This is a lot about self-experimentation and figuring out what works for you within this framework. And beyond that, we're getting into something that can be very uncomfortable to look at, but understand your money flow. Understand where your money is actually going each month. And this is something that we can all do better, is budgeting better. Look into a free service like Mint, or maybe pay for a service like You Need a Budget, and track where your money is going. Valerie and I actually have 2 different categories for groceries. I have essential and non-essential. And if something is like a snack food or a drink or something that's not going to be a major part of a meal, it's just going to be something on the side, that goes into my non-essential budget. And at the end of the month, I look at how we did. And if we spent like maybe $1,000 on food, say, and 300 of that was in non-essential, then that's something that we need to really evaluate. Was that worth it? Check out Man versus Debt. They're all about helping you to get rid of your junk in order to pay off debt. That debt, once you pay off that debt, that could also help you pay for food, which would be great. But where does your spending money go? And overall, what is a priority for you? If I were just going to look at where you spend money in a vacuum and look at what things you spend the most money on, what could I assume about what your priorities are? Try doing this experiment with yourself. What would you assume your priorities are looking at your budget and where you spend money? Do those reflect what you think your priorities are in reality? Is a priority for you being healthy and supporting local community and making sure you're getting the most out of your nutrition? Then maybe that needs to be something that you understand you're going to budget more money for because it's that important to you. And finally, I just want to, again, challenge your framework for how you understand this situation. So let's take a look at how the world eats just to finish up. So here's a graph where we look at spending on food and drink throughout nations in the world. And we can see that in the United States, we spend basically the least amount of our total income on food and drink out of any nation in the world. And even if you take into account the differences in actual dollars spent per week rather than percentages, and we look at nations like Japan and Greece and France, these people are spending another 2/3 or almost double what we spend per week per person on food. So in the United States, we're in $40, and in Japan, they spend $77. And again, this is just me speaking from personal experience, having lived in Japan for 2 years. But they care about their food so much more than we do. It's a part of their culture and their life. And everything was fresh. Everything was local. It was delicious. Looking back on it, I didn't realize how good I had it. And yes, my grocery bill was more expensive. And at the time, I was like, man, it's so expensive to eat well here. But you kind of pay for what you get on some level. So that's just something to really think about, and how privileged we are to live in the United States and have so many options and be able to feed ourselves on such a small budget. And then here's another way to look at this. This is a map of the world with the size of the nations based on how much of their annual income they spend on food. And the United States is just basically off the map. We can barely even see ourselves because we spend so little. And this is just, a reminder that we live in luxury. We get to pick and choose our food based on taste and preference. Not only do most animals not get to do that, most of our own species worldwide don't get to do that. A lot of people in the United States don't get to do that. So if we are in a position where we have the opportunity to spend more money on something that's important to us, like food, I think we need to take advantage of that. I think we need to be very thankful for the position that we're in. So, hopefully that gave you a little bit further understanding. And one other point I just want to make really quickly is in this quote, the World Health Organization has estimated that if the major risk factors for chronic disease were eliminated, so that is food, exercise, sleep, and stress, at least 80% of all heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes would be prevented, and more than 40% of cancer cases would be prevented. That's from the Centers for Disease Control. So this is a big deal. If we take care of ourselves, that's going to save us money in the long term. In America, we spend over $8,000 per person per year on healthcare. That's more than double a lot of other developed nations. So if we can make ourselves healthy through spending money on food and then not having to spend that money on medication down the road, again, that's kind of a simplified view of it all, but I think it's important to take into account. So as Hippocrates has said famously, and this is one of my favorite quotes I come to again and again, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So again, just think about the total costs, not just monetary, but total costs of these decisions. And the final thought I want to leave you with is, how much is waking up with energy, the ability to move well, and think well throughout your day worth to you? That's something that's really powerful, and I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but how you answer that question is going to determine where you value putting your money. And that's okay if it's not in food. If you still have budget restrictions, that's okay. But just think about that. So I just want to finish with resources. I have a what do I do with that download link for you guys that links to a file on Dropbox that it will show you things you can do with foods that are left over in your pantry. You can go to eatwild.com. They'll hook you up with local grass-fed meats. Be able to find farmers in your area to hook up with. Local Harvest will do the same thing for fruits and vegetables. The Whole 9 Seasonal Produce Guide will tell you what foods are in season when. Thefoodie.com has awesome meal planning and grocery lists. They also have Whole 30 approved recipes, which also fit into the Living Lean Blueprint. And finally, if you want to hear us talk more about this, if hearing this kind of lecture just kind of keeps you motivated and ready to go, 3 of the coaches at Force, myself, Jake, and Nate, run the Human Animal Podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes, and that can be another resource for you as well. So hopefully you guys don't have too many questions, but if you do, feel free to reach out to me, either at Force, or you can email me at matt.forcefitness@gmail.com. Happy to help. We want to help you guys succeed and create an environment for success for all of us, both social and movement-based and food and all the rest. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation today and got something out of it. And good luck on your own fitness and food journey. All the best.